Now, if you are making travel plans from the Eastern Cape or to the Eastern Cape, particularly from East London's King Phalo Airport, and it rains, then you must be prepared to possibly not travel. Since July this year, flights have been delayed due to the airport's failure to renew certain instrument flight procedures, according to regulations and inclement weather. I'm now joined by Mpilo Dlamini, Air Traffic and Navigation Services Head of Corporate Affairs and Communications. A very good afternoon to you, Mpilo. Thanks very much for joining us. What is wrong? What is going on there? We were stuck for 12 hours yesterday.
Thank you so much, Vuya, for the opportunity, and good afternoon to your viewers. First and foremost, let me apologize to you and all the passengers that were affected yesterday, not just yesterday, but in the past few months since we started the Instrument Flight Procedure Maintenance Program. So what is happening, Vuyo? Let me just explain, maybe for the benefit of the viewers, what our instrument flight procedures are. An aircraft is using two systems to fly, meaning that aircrafts are flown by pilots using two rules. The first rule is what is called a visual flying rule. The second rule is called instrument flying rule. The visual flying rule happens when there are no issues in terms of the weather, and it's during the day. The pilots can see with their physical eyes where they are supposed to land. So that is called the visual flying rules. Then when it comes to the instrument flying rules, it's when in the event there is inclement weather patterns or conditions, just like yesterday at King Phalo Airport in East London. So the pilots couldn't land the aeroplanes. They couldn't take off because of the inclement weather patterns that was happening at the airport, meaning that it was foggy, it was raining, it was cloudy. They couldn't see with their visual eyes. So they needed to use what is called instrument flight procedures. Unfortunately, the instrument flight procedures are currently suspended, especially in runway number 11 at King Phalo. They were suspended, but I'm happy to report to you, Vuyo, that from today, we got approval from our regulator that runway 11 can now use instrument flight procedures, meaning that if the inclement weather can happen, more often than not now, we'll be able to fly out or into East London during any kind of conditions. Why? Because runway number 11, the flight instrument procedures have been approved by our regulator. So operations can now go back into instrument flying rules. So that is what is called instrument flight procedures. So from today, things are going to be better at King Phalo Airport in terms of flying in and out, even during bad weather conditions, just like yesterday. Again, apologies to you and everyone that has been affected by this.
Why were these procedures suspended in the first place?
There are many reasons why procedures are suspended for you. The first reason is these are according to the International Civil Aviation Authority regulations that all instrument flight procedures must be updated at certain periods of time. Like every 5 years, they must be updated, they must be maintained. But we couldn't do that in all our airports. You know, we are running over 300 instrument flight procedures across all airports in the country. We couldn't do that because of two major factors. The biggest factor is issues of technical capacity. A lot of our people and a lot of our teams, technical teams at ATNS, have been pushed out of our organization into international markets because instrument flight procedure design specialists are highly specialized field. They are globally marketable, globally on demand. So that is one of the reasons why we are lagging behind in terms of the backlog, in terms of maintaining our instrument flight procedures. But we are sorting that one out now. As we speak, we are training our own people again in terms of being instrument flight procedure design specialists. Again, we have contracted international contractors that are specialists in this field so that they can come in and help us, clear this backlog. That is the first issue, issues of technical capacity. The second issue has been the issue of COVID. COVID really affected us. People can think COVID happened 4 years ago, but the recovery path from COVID has been very difficult for many organizations, including ours, in terms of catching up with the maintenance program that we are supposed to be doing, because there was a period where we couldn't do that kind of maintenance. So those are the reasons why this was not happening in the past few years. But now we are on it, we're working on it on a daily basis. We're making sure that we're submitting instrument flight procedures to our regulator for approval so that they can be uplifted, so that any given time, aeroplanes and aircraft can be flown by these two rules that I've mentioned earlier, instrument flying rules and visual flying rules. So that is what we are doing for you.
So you dropped the ball, but on what basis then have you been given permission now to operate? Presumably, the rules were suspended because of the safety of passengers.
Yes, the biggest issue in all this thing is safety. Like I've mentioned, that the International Civil Aviation Authority regulations, they are saying that every 5 years they must be maintained. Why maintenance? Because after 5 years, you may find that in a particular airport, there is now a new high-rise building, I'm making an example, that may affect a flying aircraft into that particular airport. So there must be that kind of maintenance to check if there are no obstacles that have just mushroomed within that particular period. So those are some of the reasons that we have to do that. Safety is one of the biggest things. The second thing that we are doing as ATNs, we are making sure that there is no competition between safety and speed. While we are doing the maintenance and the updating of the systems, we are making sure that we prioritize safety at all possible, by all possible means, meaning that we want to make sure that each and every procedure that we have to do, we do proper due diligence, we make sure that we do proper assessments before we can submit them to our regulator. Then the regulator is going to do their own counter due diligence to make sure that they also check on their own before they can lift up theirs, because the priority in everything is to make sure that the safety of our passengers and our aircraft and the airspace in South Africa is not compromised at all given times.
What I'm trying to understand is what you are going to, or what you'll be doing now. Now you've got the reprieve, but if the consideration was the safety of passengers in the first place, what are you putting in place now, given your technical capacity issues, to make sure that you are compliant? In other words, the safety of passengers is not compromised.
Yes, what we are doing now, like I've mentioned, that we are actually maintaining our procedures across the country. We are capacitating the teams that are responsible for maintaining these procedures on a daily basis. This should be an ongoing process. There should be no period where we are not doing that across all the airports. We are running over 300 flight procedures, as I've mentioned. So this should be an ongoing project on a daily basis. But capacity was an issue. We've brought in international contractors that are specialists in the field of instrument flight procedure designs. They are here, they are working to make sure that they clear the backlog. We have trained our own people, internal South Africans. They are working on this project. They are being trained on the job. They are making sure that about 5 of them by December, they will start working. We have already brought in a new cohort of instrument flight procedure designers into the system for training. So we are doing a lot in terms of capacitating this particular aspect of our business to make sure that what has happened does not happen again, because all procedures should always be in place at all given time in all our airports and aerodromes in South Africa, so that there are no issues of safety and compromise. And the issues of flight disruptions, delays and cancellations and diversions, they don't happen again. So that is what we are focusing on as ATNS.
How widespread is this problem? Because on Monday, we're supposed to fly out of Mthatha, and we couldn't. All flights were cancelled. We then had to drive to East London only to experience the same problem. How widespread is this problem?
Like I've mentioned, almost a number of our airports, various airports in the country, in one way or the other, you will find that one or two, or the only one airport, only one runway in that particular airport, their instrument flight procedures have been suspended. Let me make an example. Phalo Airport in East London, there are 2 runways, runway 29 and runway 11. Runway 21, everything is fine with it. However, when the wind direction changes and favors that we must use runway 11, then that's where the problem comes in, because runway 11 did not have the instruments in place. That is why you experienced what you experienced yesterday. So at Mthatha, we did not have any of the runways having their instrument flight procedures in place. They were all suspended. But I'm happy again that one of the approvals that we received today also relate to Mthatha, also relate to runway 11 at King Phalo in East London. So those two particular airports have been, in a way, mitigation has come through for them. So we won't see the type of challenges we've been seeing in the past few weeks because of weather and cancellations and the whole operations being sabotaged the way it was because of the weather. So those things are not going to happen now at the level, at the rate that they were happening in these two particular airports. Then if you go around all the other airports, you'll find that, as I've mentioned earlier, one way or the other, there are one or two runways or aspects of the procedures that are not in place, because there are various of them. There's what is called RNAVs, there's what is called ILS, instrument landing systems. I'm not going to be technical about it because of your viewers, they must understand that we are working on it. We will make sure that they will be able to land, they will be able to take off. Now we are approaching two important seasons. One, it's the season of rain. It's a summer season. We'll make sure that by the time the season is on speed, all procedures are in place. We are not affected. The second season that we are entering in is the peak season. People will be traveling holidays. We'll make sure that by the time that season comes to us, we are done with making sure that all what we call priority procedures in the various airports are in place. So we are making all types of resources available to make sure that this rainy season and the peak season of travel and holidays are not affected by these instrument flight procedures, in the sense that they will be operating in these airports.
Mpilo Dlamini, thanks very much for your time.